A young man in 19th century London encountered an apparition so terrifying it changed his view on the paranormal forever. I'm Alexandra Jones, and this is House Lore. I was always a very strong-minded man, and until the time I'm about to speak of, always ridiculed the idea of ghosts. Let everyone speak as they find, but for my part I am now convinced of my error, though I am far from wishing anyone to adopt my opinion unless from conviction. You must know that about 2 years ago I went to a lodge at an ancient house in Westminster, where nothing remarkable happened to me for about 3 months. But one night, too well do I remember it, I saw an apparition, an appalling sight as I never before beheld. Even were I starving tomorrow, I would not again enter that room. No, not for £1,000. I had been to the theatre, and on my way home had drunk a single pint of porter, so that no doubt of my sobriety can exist for a moment. My room was on the second story of a house that I should suppose had weathered well nigh 400 years, and was in former days a lonely habitation. The room was surrounded by a wainscoting of oak to the height of 5 feet. It was very lofty, and in the lightest days, owing to the narrowness of the windows, was very gloomy. As I said before, I returned from the theatre, and the snuff of the candle, which I had extinguished on getting into bed, had not ceased to emit its disagreeable effluvia, when I beheld— my blood freezes even when I think of it— a young man dressed in the habit of days gone by, gliding through the wainscoting on the opposite side of the apartment to where I lay. I was completely paralyzed, trembled violently in every limb, and the perspiration fell in torrents from my brows. I felt for some time as if every nerve was cut asunder, every sense benumbed. I exerted myself to speak, but in vain. My tongue cleaved to the roof of my mouth, and I was obliged to remain horror-struck and inactive, a spectator of the scene before me. The apparition remained for nearly 10 minutes, which was ample time for me to convince myself that it was no idle chimera of a disused imagination that stood before me. Yet although it remained so long a time, I could not command sufficient resolution to challenge it, or summon anyone to my aid, for I felt as though deprived of all energy, and in fact it was so during the whole time of its visit, that my sense of perception and consciousness were painfully acute. The expression of the countenance was peculiarly mild, and the rich dark locks falling about the forehead and shoulders, the mustache of the same hue, showed in horrid relief against the ashen, chilling, and livid hue of the face. He wore a doublet of a kind of chocolate color, richly embroidered with gold lace, full loose breeches of a yellow leather, ornamented uniformly with the doublet, and from each was suspended a bunch of ribbon adorned with a metal tack, reaching down nearly to the broad and drooping tops of his light russet boots. A large traveling cloak of dark blue cloth reached from the shoulders down to the heels, hanging in full folds over the left arm, which was extended towards the fireplace of my apartment. While I was gazing on him in stupid astonishment and terror, he raised his right hand and lifted from his head his broad sable-feathered hat, and parting his dark locks, he discovered to my agonizing sight a deep and ghastly wound. In the center of his manly forehead, and with sighs and gesticulations that I could not clearly comprehend, he seemed to warn me of some impending danger. Harrowing as the sight was to my feelings, it was a mere nothing to what I suffered when I beheld him slowly, and almost imperceptibly, advance towards the spot where I lay. And fixing his dark, piercing gaze upon me for nearly a minute, he held me in a more painful and horrible inactivity than the basilisk is said to hold its victim in. For a full minute I was exposed to the fixed gaze of the phantom, without the power of turning my head one or another way, or addressing it. At length it retired towards the wainscot, and raising both its hands in the attitude of prayer, remained apparently wrapped in deep contemplation for nearly 3 minutes, and then suddenly disappeared, sinking into the floor at the bottom of the wainscoting. As you may well suppose, I did not close my eyes again that night, but as soon as it was light, I proceeded to my landlord's room, roused him, and demanded to settle my account, for I determined in my own mind never to re-enter the house which was visited in so superhuman a manner. With astonishment in his countenance, he received the amount of my rent, at the same time inquiring what had caused my sudden dislike to my apartment. I gave him an evasive answer and left him. Yet I thought I observed a kind of lurking consciousness of something wrong in his countenance, and I doubted not that he was aware of the mysterious visits of the apparition, and so it proved in the end. For happening to meet him one day in the park, I got him to confess it, that it was reported in the neighborhood that the house, and in particular the room in which I slept, was haunted by the troubled spirit of a young cavalier of King Charles II's days, said to have been murdered in that room. And he added that during the time he had kept the house, no less than 9 persons had left the apartment on account of the strange noises heard there of a night. He said he had concealed this from me, fearing I might add one more to the list of lodgers this supernatural visitor had deprived him of. Deeply have I suffered the buffets of the world since that time, and many a meal have I stood in need of. Yet were thousands offered to me to pass another night in that room, I should have refused. This is the basis on which I build my faith in supernatural appearances, and as far as reason and argument may go to ridicule and confute the idea of the existence of such things, I must be allowed firmly to persist in believing that which my own eyes have been witness to.